welcome back. We are here with our value plays for Wednesday, January 31st, 2018. Very difficult for me to remember pretty much any part of the date that it is. I'm Nick from CWE of Research Fantasy, amongst many other things I do. Check us out at collegefootballpros.com. That's really where my passion is at. Drew and I brought the podcast back for the 2018 season and moving forward, and we really plan on doing big things with it, so we got some stuff going on there. Check us out there. But for now, we're here to talk about NBA DFS value picks. Like I said in my previous video, my strategy tonight is paying up, I think, at the guard positions and really focusing on some value. I'm going to give you three guys I really like, but really I'm going to give you five just quickly in passing. If Aaron Gordon is out again tonight, Mario Hezonja, I think at the price, makes a pretty solid play. How do you not want some exposure against the Lakers? And you definitely want to flip that back around too. Jordan Clarkson, even though he's had a couple of down games, makes some sense to me, even though he's not a value play. And Tristan Thompson, Kevin Love is out. I do think Channing Frye will kind of see his way into the starting lineup. It's tough to say, but either way, Channing Frye is going to be more of a part of what they do. But Whiteside's kind of a slack defender, and that might be putting it friendly. I think you could really take advantage of him there. I think Tristan could be a low-end double-double. Just not a guy I really see having a huge ceiling. Frye definitely cheaper. Probably has a better point per dollar ceiling, but they could just decide they don't want to use him at any moment because the Cavs just have really just been a train wreck. NBA DFS has been a train wreck. I haven't been here for the last 4 months or so to really say it, but my God, this has basically become unplayable. I don't understand how anyone can validate no late swap. So I get the idea that people say that, well, you know, and this comes from DraftKings themselves as well as some sharks who don't want to see the change happen. Well, it all evens out eventually. This isn't called all evens out eventually fantasy. It's called daily fantasy, which means what happens tonight is more important to me than what happens tomorrow. I get that in the scheme of things, DFS is a race. It's a marathon and not a sprint, but every night is a sprint that's part of a marathon, right? Like, you don't want to see your money go to waste just because maybe 5 days down the line you may benefit from the next late scratch, or you might get hit. So, I mean, we've seen so many guys this year, it's been absolutely ridiculous. It would be like a place of business that skews 90% male saying, we're just going to cater to the 90% that are here. If 10% of the population that comes in as females, we just don't have bathrooms for them. We're just not going to serve them. And the reality of the situation is it's probably more toward 50-50, but the people that are paying the dollars, the sharks in this case, are definitely the ones who feel like they can be better off in the long run. Like, look, have it. If you don't want to use it, you don't have to. But why is it there for NHL? Why is it there for NFL? Why is it there for baseball? Why is basketball, of all the sports, the only sport that actually needs it? The one that doesn't have it. So in baseball season, you're not spending time with your family? You mean to tell me that during the time of year where everywhere in the country is nice, or not freezing, not frozen over, you're not spending time with your family? But in the winter, where half the country is frozen over, that's when you need to not be able to get on your phone because you're spending time with your family. Let's save that junk. Just save it. It's been a trash year for NBA DFS. These sites do themselves no service, but that's all right because eventually there's going to be someone else who enters the marketplace, especially once this gambling thing is all meted out and it's going to be legal, and these guys are going to eat the position that they've taken because someone will come in who's willing to cater to the fans at least short term, and that's all it's going to take. A well-funded person with short-term ambitions is going to unseat one of these players. FanDuel's probably going to get sold off, which is why everyone's abandoning ship. Anyway, I digress. Let's not go any further into it. I want to list three guys I really like tonight. Let's start with Kyle O'Quinn. Kyle O'Quinn, if you look at the box scores, he seems like he's relatively unpredictable. His minutes are not like justifiable. But one thing that I've really noticed when it comes to Kyle O'Quinn is on these back-to-backs, especially when Cantor has been used pretty heavily the night before, O'Quinn usually gets more run. in the second half of a back-to-back. Now, why is that important? They're on second half of a back-to-back. Matchup is actually pretty good against Boston. Like, Boston, Horford's not really built to put up with O'Quinn. So this is a situation with O'Quinn being a pretty decent fantasy point per minute scorer. If he's getting 22 to 25, you're looking at upside of 25 to 35 fantasy points. Now, he can get in foul trouble. I'm not going to say that that can't occur because he's not the greatest basketball player in the world, but I do think he makes some sense tonight. Next guy I want to go to is Frank Kaminsky. We know Marvin Williams is out, Cody Zeller as well. The big thing here we have to take into consideration, because I think a lot of people are going to want to jump back in their Wayback Machine and go back to 2017 and remember the run that we saw Kaminsky go on where he started at like 4,200 and ended up near 7K, but he was just banking all night 30 to 45 fantasy points. That was without Zeller, who was their starting center, and that was without Marvin Williams. The key component here is that we've got a dominant Dwight Howard that is going to be playing. And there's no reason that this team is going to take Dwight off the court in favor of Kaminsky unless it's foul trouble or injury or something like that. So I think you have to temper your expectations a little bit, but I do think 25 to 30 fantasy points is well within the realm of possibilities for Kaminsky. I think he'll see an increased time, spend more time with that second unit as well, and that gives him kind of like that safety that I really like. Is it possible that he could go for 35 or 40 fantasy points? I mean, look, he's done it in the past. There are definitely ways this game can get out of hand early. Atlanta's not a good team. I think that they play better at home. But at the same time, you know, Charlotte could go in there. Dwight could have 15 and 8 after the first quarter, and it can be a 20-point game. And that means Kaminsky gets way more run. So that's why I like him. But probably my favorite guy, 100% across the board, is Ed Davis. This guy has been, look, Memphis, Toronto, Memphis, LA. This guy produces when he's given opportunities, and he's finally being given opportunities. Over his last 5 games, he's had no lower than 24.5 fantasy points. He's had a high of 39.25 fantasy points on DraftKings. Gets a good matchup against Chicago, who's going to be out without Lauri Markkanen. To me, this just sets up pretty well for another 30-plus point game for him. We know Chicago is in paper soft, and I just have a hard time believing we're not going to see Davis come in and crush value tonight. So he's easily my favorite value play. That'll wrap it up for this section. Thanks for sitting through the rant. I do really believe that both of these high-end fantasy companies right now are absolutely trash when it comes to their NBA DFS product. If you like it, that's fine. It's your opinion. You can go record a YouTube video about how you think it's great, and I'll watch it too. But for the most part, it's been a trash season for NBA DFS. Got to keep the hope alive, though. Ed Davis, Frank Kaminsky, Kyle O'Quinn, get him in some of your tournament lineups tonight, and check us out again tomorrow. Thanks.